Good evening, class. Thanks for asking how my conference went in Nashville. It went very well. I had a great 6 days, a little bit of personal development and professional development, and networking and learning some stuff. It was great. And I visited Belmont University in Nashville. So enough about that. On to this week's vlog, focusing on the SCPA article. Campus-wide focus on student experience. Thank you, Alex, for prompting this week. I know you asked 2 or 3 questions that I'm going to do my best to answer, so I'm going to fly right into it. I think the main points that I got from the article was just an emphasis on, it started off by explaining how students are changing. From a couple of decades ago, 20 years ago to now, students have changed a lot, so they need different things, and also the resources that we have are changing too. They've evolved, so we're really able to, should be able to offer them a more wholesome learning experience. So it's just, I think there was a big focus on changing with times and making sure we're up to date on what resources we have available and we're using to help students get a good experience when they're here. Make sure they're learning. There was a lot of talk about learning more than just in the classroom. There was kind of a link in a way, in my opinion. There was a link, not a direct link, because not like a model, but I definitely took into consideration Kegan's Orders of Consciousness when I was reading this, just because obviously students are at different stages of development, and personally they're at just different stages, so sometimes they need different things, especially if you take into account a freshman and a graduate student. They're possibly going to be between orders of consciousness or some of the other models we've looked at when it's looking at human development, personal development. We need to be able to make sure that we are knowledgeable enough to be able to offer this different. If someone is 17, 18 years old and someone's 23, in my opinion, I know I changed a lot, but from when I was 17 to even 21, so we need to make sure that we're knowledgeable enough to be able to give them different resources and be relevant to both of those people. Main points. Obviously, the student population is more diverse and international, more diverse within even this country. So people have to be knowledgeable and accepting and embrace that diversity. Something that was relevant that I learned at the conference was just how learners today learn. And they mentioned that in the article, that people don't need 2-hour lectures anymore. They need, they're so obsessed with things like Twitter, where it's 140 characters and you can get your point across. So what resources are we using to make sure that today's learners are interested in learning, rather than a 2-hour lecture? It might be a 10-minute video. It might be, these vlogs that we're doing are relevant to this article and what we're learning about this week, because this wouldn't have been done 20 years ago. So that is that's also relevant. I thought the Wheatley quote was really good. Knowledge is a wave that depends on the observer, which again kind of backs up what I said earlier about the observer being the student. Like how I perceive a lesson or a class or whatever's going on might be different to the person next to me, and that may depend on our backgrounds, it may depend on our interests, it may depend on so many things that are part of our diverse student population. So again, going back to the main theme, was how, as student affairs professionals, how are we delivering a campus-wide focus on how student experience is the best that it can be. The 7 outcomes, which were on page 31, that all effective student affairs professionals the competencies must have, I thought were pretty good. It kind of sums up, I'll really quickly go through them. Being able to think in a complex way, enhanced knowledge acquisition, just making sure that, this is the second one, making sure that you're constantly keeping up with being current, and making sure that your knowledge is constantly being enhanced and developed, and and you're constantly trying to learn more, and also which will in turn help the students develop their knowledge. 3 is be sensitive and appreciative of diversity. I think we all know how important that is. Just you know, we have such a diverse student population right now, as we've spoken about in previous weeks. That you must not only understand and be sensitive to it, but appreciate it, and make a real effort to show your appreciation and show that you can be, you know, if you have 20 people in a class, you know, those are 20 different people, very different people that might come from completely different backgrounds. So you have to be approachable by all 20 of those people, and not just, you know, if you're a 55-year-old Caucasian lady, you know, that's married to a male, you can't only be approachable by straight white women in your class. You must be approachable and appreciative of diversity. Next one, number 4, was help students become engaged citizens. So that goes back to the what I mentioned earlier about making sure that learning is going on not just in the classroom, but on the campus community, and even further into the community off campus. Because at the end of the day, our focus as educators and student affairs professionals is to make sure that we're preparing people for post college life. So that was good. 5 is assist students in their inter and intrapersonal competence, which has a counselling base, which anyone who took the counselling class last year will appreciate. I did, and I loved it. 6 is develop practical competencies, which is pretty self-explanatory, and number 7 is academic achievement. Make sure that you're helping students achieve what their goals in the classroom, which really starts everything else off. To quickly try and answer some of Alex's questions since I've kind of summarised what the main points and related it to Keegan's orders of consciousness, which I think was the most applicable model that we've looked at when thinking about this, or one of. Alex said, what role do we take to help a student want to learn? I think it's about, you know, again, being current and understanding what motivates students these days, what motivates an 18-year-old that didn't 20 years ago, and it's motivation, it's set goals, and be interactive. You know that people want to learn now in an interactive classroom. They want to be involved. They need to feel loved more than, I think people are more needy than they were years ago. So you know, make it relevant to social media, make it relevant to, you know, if they'll want to learn if they're comfortable. So obviously we want to take them out of their comfort zone, but in the early going, if they're not comfortable, I go on and on about how, especially in my GA spot, we meet recruits that have no social skills. Like kids these days have no social skills. So early on, if they are only comfortable sitting on Facebook, maybe do a Facebook lesson one day, or a blog where they can type rather than talk, and then as you proceed later in the course, you can maybe get them on their feet and maybe talking a little bit. But that's what's going to make students want to learn. Keep them motivated, keep them involved, and make them feel a part of it. Another question was, if a person has 6 of 9 of the 6. If a student affairs professional doesn't have all of the competencies, does that make them better or worse than someone who has all of them? I think it's important, obviously. It's hard to define better or worse or more effective, but I think you have to have some level of all of the competencies that were listed. I think it was a great list. It doesn't mean that someone who's working on 2 of them isn't an effective student affairs professional, but the most important part there is to be working towards them. So yeah, hopefully I've kind of gotten my main points across, and I enjoyed the article. I think it was interesting. It's one that I would even consider, you know, keeping for. I think you could apply it to your GA positions, and even after we graduate. I know that it'll help me in my GA position, just knowing how to make how can I use basketball or sport to enhance a student's experience on campus, and just make it a whole rather than just a part of their learning. So yeah, hopefully I've answered the questions for you. Bit of a summary, compared it to Keegan's orders, and looking forward to seeing you all in class. I know we're really towards the end of it, the end of the road, as they say. So hang in there, keep working hard, and hope everybody finishes strong. I'm going to try. So late night in the library tonight. See you all tomorrow.